Phyllida Bright's feelings about London were exceedingly complicated. On the one hand, a person couldn't deny that the city was exciting, energetic, eclectic, and enchanting, alliteration notwithstanding. One could buy anything, do anything, eat anything, and experience nearly anything one wished. And Phyllida had done her share of all of that during previous residences and visits. Her lips curved at the memory of a particular night at the Savoy. Then the smile faded. There were other, not nearly so pleasant memories that accompanied her return to London, hence the mixed emotions with which she struggled. Phyllida didn't care for having such mixed emotions. It was much easier when things were straightforward, when she knew how she ought to feel and react. But there was no help for it. She was here in London, and, as was her nature, would make the best of it, all the while hoping to avoid disaster. The ancient and yet shockingly modern city was a far cry from sleepy little Lisley in Devon, although with the number of murders that had recently occurred in the small village where Phyllida managed the home of Agatha Christie and her husband Max Mallowan, Phyllida began to wonder if the village might, in fact, be in competition for London on a murder-by-square-foot basis. It was a shame, to be honest, that the vibrancy of the city and all of its civilized offerings were overshadowed by the fact that Phyllida did not want to be here. In fact, probably the only person in the world who could have convinced her to return to London was Agatha, with whom Phyllida had been close friends since they'd worked in a hospital together at the beginning of the Great War. Phyllida's employment as housekeeper of Mallowan Hall suited both women perfectly, for a variety of excellent reasons. But not only was Phyllida in London, against her better judgment, she was currently crammed in the front of a Daimler with a panting, pricked ear, hot bundle of wildly curling canine fur squashed on the seat between her leg and the motorcar's door. She still wasn't quite certain how Myrtle had managed manoeuvring herself into such an ungainly position, the impertinent little beast. "All right there, Mrs. Bright," said Bradford, the Mallowan chauffeur and alleged master of Myrtle, the panting and, drooling creature that had unconcernedly wedged itself next to Phyllida. Phyllida''s only response was to give Bradford a withering look. He knew quite well how she felt about that mop of fur, despite the fact that she and Myrtle had begun to come to an uneasy and reluctant truce. Uneasy and reluctant on Phyllida''s part, at least. Myrtle seemed delighted that she could insinuate herself into Phyllida''s proximity whenever the latter was otherwise distracted by events, such as nearly being squashed by a motor car, being shot at by a crazed killer during a thunderstorm, or taking advantage of her debilitated condition when nursing a head cold. "Right then, Mertz, we're nearly there," said Bradford cheerily. He was actually wearing a cap today of an unobjectionable blue tweed, along with an equally suitable coat and leather driving gloves. "Then you won't be so squashed up now, will you? Can't be comfortable riding like that, can it?" Phyllida resisted the urge to make a tart comment, for Bradford would easily be delighted by such a reaction from her. But his easy, almost crooning voice had an unexpected benefit, for Myrtle spun toward her master.